The night sky above Earth's orbital defense station Alpha was unusually quiet. Tom Miller, the night shift operator, was about to pour his third cup of coffee when every screen in the command center suddenly lit up red. His coffee cup crashed to the floor, forgotten. "Sir," Tom's voice cracked as he called out to his supervisor. Multiple energy signatures detected at the edge of the solar system. They're massive. Station Commander Robert Hayes rushed to the main display, his face illuminated by the pulsing red warning lights. The readings were unlike anything he had seen in his 20 years of service. "Get me Admiral Walker. Now." Within minutes, Admiral James Walker was awakened in his quarters at the Global Defense Command. As he hurried to the Emergency Command Center, the initial reports flooded in. 300 unknown vessels, each larger than anything humanity had ever built, had entered the solar system in perfect formation. "Show me," Walker ordered as he entered the command center. The massive wall screen flickered to life, displaying a real-time view from the quantum telescopes scattered throughout the solar system. The ships were beautiful in a terrifying way. Sleek, dark vessels that seemed to absorb the starlight around them. "Sir," Lieutenant Emma Woods reported from her station, "the lead vessel is broadcasting on all frequencies." "They're using English, sir. Somehow they're using English." Walker nodded grimly. "Put it through." The message that played through the command center speakers was clear and precise, delivered in a voice that seemed almost bored. "To the governing bodies of Earth. You are hereby notified of your integration into the Galactic Empire. Your technology level has been assessed as Category 3. Your military capabilities are rated as minimal. Resistance would be futile and unnecessary. Prepare your leadership for immediate transfer to Imperial control. You have 6 Earth hours to comply." The room fell silent. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for centuries, but not like this. Not as an afterthought to be conquered. Walker straightened his uniform and looked around the room at his staff. These were the best Earth had to offer. Scientists, strategists, and soldiers who had trained their entire lives for a moment they hoped would never come. "Get me the Security Council," he ordered, "and activate the quantum defense grid." Quietly. As the commands were relayed, Walker studied the tactical display. The Imperial ships had arranged themselves in a classic invasion formation, spreading out to surround Earth's orbital paths. They were confident, methodical, and completely unaware of humanity's true capabilities. "Sir," Woods called out, "I'm detecting energy builds-ups in their weapon systems. They're running targeting scans on our major cities." Walker's jaw tightened. "Launch the stealth satellites, full spread, and get me a direct link to their command ship." The next hour was a blur of activity. Earth's hidden defenses, carefully constructed over decades of peaceful development, quietly came online. Quantum sensors mapped every detail of the Imperial fleet. AI systems analyzed their communications, their energy signatures, their weaknesses. The Security Council's decision was unanimous. Earth would not surrender. As the 6-hour deadline approached, Walker stood before the communications array. Behind him, the combined military might of humanity was preparing for a fight that would determine the fate of their species. But they had one advantage the Empire didn't expect. They had been preparing for this moment since the first atomic bomb showed humanity the true cost of war. "Message ready, sir," Woods announced. Walker looked at the tactical display one last time. The Imperial ships hung in space like arrogant predators, certain of their prey's helplessness. They were about to learn a very important lesson about humanity. "Send to all Imperial vessels," Walker commanded. "Message begins. To the Galactic Empire. We have received your terms. We have a response." He paused, knowing his next words would be remembered for generations to come. "Earth stands united. Earth stands alone. Earth stands ready. This is your only warning." The message was sent. In the tense silence that followed, Walker turned to his staff. "Sound general quarters," he ordered. "And may God have mercy on their souls, because we won't." Throughout the Earth's military installations, alarms began to sound. Humanity's first interstellar war was about to begin, and they intended to teach the Empire exactly why you should never underestimate a species that had spent its entire history learning how to fight. Imperial Scout Captain David Reed couldn't believe what he was seeing. His small stealth ship hung in low Earth orbit, completely invisible to what the Empire had assumed was primitive technology. Or at least it should have been invisible. "Sir," his sensor operator whispered, "they're tracking us." Impossible. Reed checked the readings himself. But there it was, a steady signal following their every move. Somehow, Earth's defensive systems could see through their most advanced cloaking technology. Back on the Imperial flagship, Commander Marcus Rex received the disturbing reports from his scout ships. He stood before the massive bridge window, watching the blue planet spin below. "Tell me something useful," he demanded. His chief analyst cleared his throat. "Sir, their technology is unusual. They haven't mastered faster-than-light travel, but their quantum computing capabilities exceed our own. Their weapons are primitive projectile and missile-based systems. But," he paused, checking his data again, "the energy readings suggest modifications we've never seen before." Rex waved his hand dismissively. "They're a Category 3 civilization, barely space-capable. What could they possibly do against our fleet?" Deep within Mount Cheyenne, Earth's military leaders were asking themselves the same question. But they had an advantage. Their quantum AI systems had been analyzing the Imperial fleet nonstop since their arrival. "Look at this," Dr. Anna White pointed to a holographic display showing an Imperial warship's internal structure. "Their hulls are designed to deflect energy weapons, but they have minimal protection against kinetic impacts. They never expected to face an enemy using physical projectiles." Admiral Walker studied the display intently. "They think we're primitive because we still use bullets and missiles. But that's exactly why we might win this." The briefing room was filled with military leaders from every nation on Earth. They had gathered in secret, deep underground, while the Imperial fleet waited for their surrender. "Their FTL drives are incredible," Dr. White continued, "but their actual combat systems are vulnerable. They rely too heavily on energy shields. And our quantum sensors have detected a critical weakness. Their ship's power distribution systems are completely exposed." "How?" a general asked. "How could such an advanced civilization make such basic mistakes?" "Arrogance," Walker answered simply. "They've never faced a serious challenge. Their entire military doctrine is based on fighting enemies who use the same technology they do. They're not prepared for what we're about to throw at them." On the surface, Earth appeared to be preparing for surrender. Cities were quiet. Military bases seemed abandoned. The Imperial scouts reported minimal activity, exactly what they expected from a civilization, accepting its fate. They couldn't have been more wrong. In hidden bunkers across the planet, humanity's real preparations were underway. The quantum defense grid was fully operational, tracking every Imperial ship with perfect precision. Earth's new railgun satellites were in position, hidden behind debris fields and powered down to avoid detection. And in secret underwater bases, swarms of autonomous drones waited for the signal to launch. "Status report," Walker commanded, standing in the Global Command Center. "Project Shield Wall is at 100% readiness." Lieutenant Woods reported. "All rail gun platforms are charged and targeted. Drone swarms are ready for deployment. Ground-based defenses are online and tracking targets." Walker nodded, studying the tactical display. The Imperial fleet had spread out, confident in their superior position. They had no idea they were surrounding themselves with humanity's weapons. "Sir," Woods called out suddenly, "we're detecting power spikes in the Imperial fleet. They're charging weapons." "They're getting impatient," Walker observed. He turned to the room full of Earth's military leaders. "The Empire thinks they're about to begin a simple subjugation mission. Instead, they're about to learn why you should never corner a species that turned warfare into a science." The room hummed with quiet determination. Humanity had spent its entire history fighting itself, perfecting the art of war. Now those centuries of tactical evolution were about to be turned against an enemy that had never faced a real challenge. "Send the alert to all commands," Walker ordered. "The Empire is about to learn that sometimes the old ways are the deadliest." Commander Marcus Rex stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the deadline approach. The massive holographic display showed Earth rotating slowly, peaceful, and seemingly defenseless. 6 hours had passed since their demand for surrender, and the planet had remained silent. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the surface, broadcasting on all frequencies." Rex smiled. Finally, Earth's surrender message had arrived. "Put it on the main screen," he ordered, straightening his uniform. This would be another glorious victory for his record. The screen flickered to life, showing a stern-faced man in a dark blue uniform. Admiral James Walker's image was being broadcast not just to the Imperial fleet, but to every corner of Earth as well. "To the Galactic Empire," Walker began, his voice steady and firm. "We have received your demands for surrender. We have studied your fleet. We have measured your strength." He paused, his eyes seeming to stare directly at Rex. "And we have found you wanting." Rex's smile vanished. This was not the groveling he had expected. "Earth stands united," Walker continued. "Earth stands alone. Earth stands ready. This is your only warning." The message ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. In the Imperial War Room, generals and admirals watched the replay of Earth's message with a mixture of amusement and disbelief. "They can't be serious," Admiral Kent laughed, his gold-trimmed uniform glittering under the bright lights. "A Category 3 civilization threatening us. This must be some kind of joke." The Imperial War Council's reaction was exactly what humanity had expected. Dr. White and her team watched the quantum feeds, tracking every communication between Imperial ships. "They're laughing at us," she reported to Walker. "Just as we predicted." Walker nodded grimly. "Good. The more they underestimate us, the better our chances." Across Earth, final preparations were being made. In hidden mountain bases, soldiers said goodbye to their families. In underwater facilities, engineers ran final checks on the drone swarms. In orbital stations disguised as debris, weapons crews waited at their posts. On the Imperial flagship, Commander Rex had recovered from his initial surprise. "They dare to threaten us," he growled. "The greatest military force the galaxy has ever seen." His tactical officer approached cautiously. "Sir, should we launch a full attack?" Rex considered for a moment. "No, send in the first wave. 3 ships should be more than enough to demonstrate our power. Target their largest cities. We'll show them the cost of defiance." The order spread through the Imperial fleet. 3 massive warships broke formation, their engines glowing bright as they moved toward Earth. Each ship was the size of a small city, bristling with energy weapons that could reduce continents to ash. In the Global Defense Command, Walker watched the Imperial ships approach. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. "Sir," Lieutenant Woods reported, "Imperial ships are entering optimal range for shield wall activation." Walker looked around the command center. Every face showed the same determination. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this moment, building defenses in secret while the world thought they were working on peaceful space exploration. "Send the final code phrase to all commands," Walker ordered. Message reads, "Remember Thermopylae." Throughout Earth's defense network, commanders received the message and understood. Like the ancient Spartans at Thermopylae, they were about to show an empire that superior numbers and technology didn't guarantee victory. The Imperial ships moved closer, charging their weapons. They expected to find a helpless planet waiting to be conquered. Instead, they were flying into the most carefully prepared trap in human military history. "They're almost in position," Woods announced, her voice tense with anticipation. Walker stood at the command center's main window, watching the stars. Somewhere up there, 3 Imperial ships were about to learn why humans had survived everything their harsh world had thrown at them. "Let them come," Walker said quietly. "It's time to show the galaxy why you should never threaten Earth." The trap was set. The enemy was approaching, and humanity was ready to give the Galactic Empire a lesson they would never forget. The 3 Imperial warships moved toward Earth like massive predators, their weapon systems glowing with building energy. On the lead ship's bridge, Captain John Rogers watched the blue planet grow larger on his view screen. "Final targeting solutions locked," his weapons officer reported. "Ready to fire on your command." Rogers smiled. This would be the easiest victory of his career. Begin the attack run. Show these primitives what real power looks like. In the Global Defense Command, Lieutenant Woods watched the enemy ships approach. "They're entering primary defense zone, sir. Shield wall is ready." Admiral Walker nodded. "Wait for it. Let them think they have the perfect shot." The Imperial ships moved into what they thought was perfect firing position. Their sensors showed no significant defensive systems, no energy shields, nothing that could stop their advanced weapons. They were wrong. "They've crossed the line," Woods announced. "All 3 ships are in the kill zone." Walker's voice was calm but firm. "Activate shield wall. All stations, weapons free." What happened next would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. The seemingly empty space around the Imperial ships suddenly lit up. Hundreds of hidden satellites, disguised as space debris, powered up at once. Before the Imperial ships could react, they were caught in a web of intersecting energy fields. "What's happening?" Rogers shouted as his ship's systems began to fail. "Report." "Some kind of quantum field, sir," his science officer yelled back. "It's disrupting our power distribution. Weapons are offline." But shield wall was just the beginning. From Earth's surface, massive rail guns that had been hidden in mountains and under oceans roared to life. They fired special projectiles designed by Dr. White's team, simple tungsten rods wrapped in quantum disruption fields. The Imperial ship's energy shields, designed to stop plasma weapons and laser fire, were useless against these primitive but devastating weapons. The first volley struck the leftmost ship, punching clean through its hull at a fraction of light speed. Impossible. Rogers watched in horror as the ship exploded, its reactor breached by Earth's primitive weapons. They can't have this kind of technology. But Earth wasn't finished. From underwater bases around the planet, swarms of autonomous drones launched into space. Each one was smaller than a car but packed with explosives and guided by advanced AI. The Imperial ships, their sensors scrambled by shield wall, never saw them coming. In the Defense Command, Walker watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. Status report. First Imperial vessel destroyed by rail gunfire, Woods reported, trying to keep the excitement from her voice. Second ship taking heavy damage from drone strikes. Third ship is attempting to retreat, but shield wall has them trapped. The second Imperial ship's captain made a fatal mistake. He diverted power from life support to weapons, desperate to get off at least one shot at Earth. His weapons powered up just enough to fire. And that's when the quantum disruption field did its work. The energy blast backfired, feeding back through the ship's own systems. The massive vessel went dark, then exploded in a spectacular flash that lit up the sky over Asia. The third ship, Rogers' command, was now alone. Its engines strained against shield wall's quantum grip, while rail gunshots and drone strikes hammered its hull. "Sir," Woods called out, "the last Imperial ship is sending a distress signal to their main fleet." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "Let them. It's time the Empire learned what they're really dealing with." He turned to his communications officer. "Send a message to the Imperial flagship. Text only." The message was brief. "That was 3 ships. You have 297 left. Would you like to reconsider your position?" In the Imperial fleet, Commander Rex watched the tactical display in stunned silence as the last ship of his first wave died in nuclear fire. Everything he thought he knew about warfare, about Earth's capabilities, had just been proven wrong. And this was only the beginning. Commander Marcus Rex stared at the debris field that had once been 3 of his best warships. The Imperial fleet's tactical display showed thousands of new signatures appearing around Earth, defensive systems that had been invisible just moments ago. How? He demanded, slamming his fist on the command console. How did we miss this? His chief analyst looked pale. Sir, they've been hiding their true capabilities. Those aren't energy weapons they're using. They're advanced versions of their primitive projectile weapons. Our shields, they're useless against them. On Earth, Admiral Walker was already moving to the next phase of humanity's defense plan. Launch the stealth carriers, he ordered. All squadrons, execute Operation Ghost Strike. Deep in the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, massive underwater doors opened. 6 sleek vessels, each carrying hundreds of fighter drones, rose from their hidden bases. They had been humanity's secret weapons, built in underwater facilities away from prying eyes. Sir, Lieutenant Woods reported, stealth carriers are airborne. Imperial fleet hasn't detected them yet. Walker nodded. Begin Phase 2. In orbit, the Imperial fleet was preparing for a massive assault. Rex had ordered all ships to charge weapons. This time, he would overwhelm Earth's defenses with sheer firepower. Launch all fighters, Rex commanded. Prepare for full orbital bombardment. I want those defense systems destroyed. Thousands of Imperial fighters poured from their carrier ships, filling space with their energy signatures. They expected to face a handful of primitive Earth vessels. Instead, they met the swarm. Execute drone attack pattern Delta, Walker ordered. Show them what Earth's AIs can do. From the stealth carriers, tens of thousands of combat drones launched silently into space. Each one was piloted by an advanced AI, capable of making decisions faster than any human or Imperial pilot. The Imperial fighters didn't stand a chance. Sir, Rex's tactical officer shouted in panic. Unknown craft approaching. Their numbers. They're everywhere. Earth's drones moved like a single organism, adapting their tactics faster than the Imperial ships could respond. They targeted engine systems and weapons with surgical precision, using their small size and overwhelming numbers to devastating effect. Quantum sensors detect Imperial shields weakening, Dr. White reported from her station. Their power grid can't handle sustained combat. They've never had to fight a prolonged battle. Walker watched as the tactical display showed Imperial fighters being destroyed by the hundreds. The Empire's rigid combat doctrine was failing against Earth's adaptive warfare. Message from Stealth Carrier 3, Woods announced. They're in position behind the Imperial fleet. This was the moment Walker had been waiting for. Launch the virus drones. Special drones, carrying advanced computer viruses, slipped through the chaos of battle. They attached themselves to Imperial ships, injecting quantum-based computer codes that Earth's scientists had specifically designed to attack Imperial systems. On the Imperial flagship, chaos erupted. Multiple systems failing. Rex's engineering chief reported. Some kind of cyber attack. Our computers are shutting down. Rex watched helplessly as ship after ship lost power, their advanced systems corrupted by Earth's primitive technology. The mighty Imperial fleet, pride of the galaxy, was being taken apart by an enemy they had completely underestimated. Sir, Woods reported with a hint of pride, Imperial fleet is showing signs of disarray. Their formation is breaking. Walker studied the tactical display. The Imperial ships were scattered, their perfect formation shattered by Earth's surprise attacks. More than 50 of their vessels had been disabled by the virus drones, and hundreds of their fighters had been destroyed. Send the next message to their flagship, Walker ordered. Tell them, this is what happens when you threaten a species that has spent its entire history preparing for war. Withdraw now, or we'll show you what our weapons can really do. The Empire was facing something unprecedented. A technologically inferior species that was winning through superior strategy, preparation, and the sheer determination to remain free. And Earth was just getting started. Commander Marcus Rex watched his mighty fleet fall into chaos. A third of his ships had lost power to Earth's virus attacks. Another quarter had taken heavy damage from the relentless drone strikes and rail gunfire. The rest were scattered, their perfect formation broken. "Sir," his second-in-command approached cautiously. "The crew is asking questions. They want to know how a Category 3 civilization is defeating us." Rex turned away from the tactical display, his face dark with anger. "They're not defeating us. This is just a temporary setback." But even as he spoke, more bad news arrived. "Commander," the tactical officer shouted, "Earth vessels detected behind our lines. They're attacking our supply ships." Earth's stealth carriers had split up, striking the Imperial fleet's support vessels. Without supplies, the mighty warships would soon run out of power for their energy weapons and shields. In the Global Defense Command, Admiral Walker received the latest battle reports with grim satisfaction. Status of Operation Hornet's Nest. Lieutenant Woods checked her displays. Earth's drone swarms have successfully divided the Imperial fleet into 3 isolated groups. Shield wall is containing them. They can't regroup. The Empire's mighty warships had never faced an enemy like this. Their weapons were designed for ship-to-ship combat against equally advanced opponents. Instead, they were being swarmed by countless small drones that their targeting systems couldn't track effectively. On the Imperial flagship's bridge, the crew was starting to lose faith. "Sir," an officer spoke up, "perhaps we should consider withdrawal. We've lost too many ships. This isn't working." "Silence," Rex roared. "I will not retreat from primitives." But his words were interrupted by a new alarm. Earth had launched another attack, this time targeting the Imperial fleet's communication systems. Dr. White's voice came over the command center speakers. "Quantum virus successfully uploaded. Their encrypted channels are compromised. We can hear everything they're saying." Walker listened as panic spread through the Imperial fleet. Ships called for help that wouldn't come. Officers argued about what to do. Some even suggested surrendering. "Sir," Woods reported with a small smile, "we're picking up transmissions from Imperial ships. 3 separate groups are talking about mutiny." The Empire's strict military hierarchy was crumbling. Their doctrine had no protocol for this situation. They had never imagined being defeated by an inferior species. On one of the Imperial heavy cruisers, the crew had finally had enough. "Captain," the ship's executive officer announced, backed by armed security troops, "we're relieving you of command. This battle is lost." Similar scenes played out across the Imperial fleet. Officers who wanted to continue fighting found themselves facing crews who had seen enough of their comrades die. Rex watched helplessly as more ships went dark, their crews shutting down weapons and engines in surrender. "Commander," his communication officer said quietly, "we're receiving a message from Earth. Text only." The message appeared on Rex's screen. "Your fleet is in ruins. Your crews are surrendering. You have one last chance to withdraw before we destroy every ship that remains. Choose wisely." In the Defense Command, Walker watched the Imperial fleet's disarray with mixed emotions. Earth had won, but at what cost? The galaxy would never be the same after this. "Sir," Woods reported, "multiple Imperial ships are powering up their faster-than-light drives. They're running." One by one, Imperial ships began to disappear into FTL, abandoning their positions. The mighty invasion fleet was retreating, defeated by the very primitives they had come to conquer. "Send one final message to Commander Rex," Walker ordered. "Tell him, remember this day. Remember what happened when you threatened Earth. We'll be watching." The Empire's worst defeat in its history was nearly complete. But more importantly, the galaxy was about to learn a vital lesson. Technological superiority means nothing against the unbreakable will to remain free. 1 month after the Battle of Earth, Admiral James Walker stood at the United Nations podium, addressing representatives from every nation on the planet. "The last Imperial ship has left our solar system," he announced, his voice echoing through the packed chamber. Earth's first interstellar war is over. We stand victorious. The chamber erupted in applause, but Walker raised his hand for silence. But this is just the beginning. The galaxy now knows we exist, and more importantly, they know what we can do. In the Imperial capital, the mood was very different. The Grand Council chamber was filled with angry voices as nobles and military leaders argued about the disaster at Earth. 300 ships, one council member shouted. We lost a third of our invasion fleet to primitives. This is unprecedented. Former Commander Marcus Rex stood before them, stripped of his rank. They weren't primitives, he said quietly, finally understanding the truth. They were something we've never seen before, a species that turned their weaknesses into strengths. In Earth's orbital command station, Dr. Anna White showed Walker the latest data from their quantum sensors. The Empire's retreat has caused a ripple effect. 3 other civilizations under Imperial control have declared independence. They saw that the Empire could be beaten. Walker nodded, watching the holographic display of known space. Earth's quantum sensors, now expanded and upgraded, could track ship movements across hundreds of light years. Sir, Lieutenant Woods called from her station. We're picking up transmissions from the Galactic Senate. They're holding an emergency session about Earth. The Galactic Senate, the Empire's supposed governing body, had been thrown into chaos by Earth's victory. Senators from 100 worlds debated what to do about the planet that had humbled the Imperial fleet. The humans must be contained, one senator argued. Their technology, their methods, they're too unpredictable. But others disagreed. They only fought to defend themselves, another senator countered. They even offered mercy to surrendering ships. Perhaps it's time for a new approach. Back on Earth, humanity was changing. The victory had united the planet like never before. Nations that had once been enemies now worked together, sharing technology and resources to strengthen their defenses. In a secret facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Walker met with the Global Defense Council. The Empire will return, he warned. Maybe not today, maybe not for years, but they'll come back. Let them come, Dr. White replied, pulling up designs for new weapons and defenses. We'll be ready. The quantum disruption fields were just the beginning. We're developing things they can't even imagine. Around the solar system, humanity's defenses grew stronger. Shield wall expanded, covering not just Earth but the entire inner system. The stealth carrier fleet doubled in size. New drone designs rolled out of factories worldwide. But the biggest change was in the galaxy itself. Word of Earth's victory spread from planet to planet, system to system. The species that the Empire had classified as primitive had done the impossible. One evening, as Walker watched the sunset from his office window, Lieutenant Woods brought him a final report. Sir, the Galactic Senate has voted. They're sending diplomats, real diplomats this time, not conquerors. They want to talk. Walker smiled. And what shall we tell them? The President suggests we hear them out. But we'll meet them at Europa Station, not on Earth. Show them we're willing to talk, but on our terms. Walker picked up a small piece of debris on his desk, a fragment from an Imperial ship, recovered after the battle. You know what the most important thing is? He asked. What's that, sir? We didn't just prove humanity can fight. We proved we can win without becoming like them. We defended ourselves without losing who we are. As night fell over Earth, humanity looked to the stars with new confidence. They had faced the galaxy's greatest power and emerged victorious. The Empire had intended to add Earth to its collection of conquered worlds. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant and taught the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. Never underestimate the species that turns survival into an art form. The stars belonged to everyone now, and humanity was ready to take its place among them, not as conquerors, but as equals who had earned their right to be free.